أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So in the first session, we talked about our desire for success, even from childhood. It is there, we are hardwired. But then there's a version of success which is not attainable within what we know as being Muslim. But then we also talked about this human attitude of religion seems to be feeling like a hindrance or on my path towards success, although it shouldn't be. I wouldn't like it to be as such. Then what am I going to do? Is there a way that while being a proper Muslim, I'm going to be attaining success? And as we were discussing this, we were bringing up the point that there is a meaning of success in the current popular culture out there, but is there any other meaning of success, a believer, a mu'min way of success that we can embody? And for that, we are now turning back to prophets, as Quran is giving us examples of them. And prophets have been definitely the role models for, if you like, otherworldliness, not this worldliness, but otherworldliness, like giving us guidance for finding the truth. So in terms of akhirah and finding our creator, they have been the exemplars. But as our quest today is more so in the sense of professional success, like we are really looking for this worldly success somehow, and still we are trying to frame what we mean by this worldly success. And we are not trying to say that, okay, Abir, you better quit your job and find some sort of, I don't know, rent this, non-profit, or rent the small shop right next to the mosque and sell some groceries. So we are looking for a way that's going to satisfy Abir's desire for be a good programmer and do ihsan in the sense that this is his skill. Like probably he wouldn't do a good job if he was in the grocery store. Like it's a skill, right? I wouldn't be a good merchant. I know that. So, but whatever is given to him, he would like to put it forth, but in a way that it's not going to be Elon Musk style success. But still, he needs to find guidance from someone that is not going to be Elon Musk. Then who else? This is where now we are turning to prophets. How prophets are going to be exemplars for me in this life for what we can say as success on earth as well. Success on earth. So the question is more so prophetic way of success. But we are going to take an interesting approach today. At least for the second session. In the third session, we will go back to Yusuf alayhi salam's story. In there, maybe it's going to be like what you might expect. But in the second session, we will take an interesting turn. And it's going to be about miracles of prophets. Because Quran tells us a lot of prophetic miracle stories. And those miracles are, like, for instance, Musa alayhi salam hitting his staff to stone, and then 12 rivers gush forth. Or Isa alayhi salam, as we will start from there, resurrecting the dead. Or Sulaiman alayhi salam bringing throne of this queen from Yemen all the way to Jerusalem in a twinkling of an eye, like an immediate transportation of some sort from Yemen to Jerusalem. Like these are miracles. But if you think about those miracles are really the boundaries of what we can imagine as success, worldly success, like transportation, teleportation, whatever, of a thing from one side of the earth to another in the twinkling of an eye, or resurrecting a dead body. This is not something that humanity has been able to achieve yet. But these are the examples that Quran is presenting us in the shape of prophetic miracles. So this is where we will start from. Let's try to get prophets as examples for their successes that's demonstrated to us in the way of miracles. And the way we will take miracles in this sense is going to be the ultimate goals set for humanity, saying that, as if the Creator is saying that one of my servants who has been a devout believer, who has been trying to find me, I am giving this gift to their hands and eventually resurrecting the dead. Or for Sulaiman alayhi salam's case, taking a 2 months distance in a single day by like getting on the wind. This is setting a goal, a target to humanity by Quran in the shape of prophetic miracles, and we would like to take that. But as we are doing this, we would like to look into the nature or the dynamics behind prophetic miracles. Then we will apply to ourselves.
Maybe we can start from there. And do we know where Arsalan is, by the way? Somebody take his name. Yeah.
Attendance.
Yeah. So, okay. In the first session, we said we have in our minds two separate things, okay? Two distinct things: worldly success and then religious life. And worldly success is defined by non-religious sources, right? And the religious life is defined by the scripture, the Quran, in our case. And when we talk about a successful Muslim, we said what we do, we take the religious life from Quran, worldly success from other sources, put them together. If your skin is darker than others, have a beard, speaking with a funny accent, and at the same time coding, you are a Muslim software developer, right? This is how we define. And we said it doesn't make sense because when you look at the way the success is defined, the professional life is structured, we see that it is actually against the Islamic understanding of life. So trying to put them together, it's like an oxymoron. Okay? So here now we try to make something maybe more reasonable. You say, okay, how, from the Quranic lens, of success or even the worldly life itself, just the life itself, is defined. Let's start from there, and maybe we can understand how Quran defines the success. So as Yusuf mentioned, we will go to the end, the goal and like a target by following the miracles, inshallah. But even before coming there, let's try to understand how things happen in our lives, right? Just how things happen. Like let's say you write a code, okay? When Arsalan is not here, the examples about the software development is just so dry.
Pick up something about.
I know, but
some example about BMWs. No?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Unfortunately. So, you hypothetical examples about the BMWs, yeah. So, you work, you get some salary, okay, and you buy a car, and you start the engine, the car starts driving, and then you go from A to B. Okay, this is your daily life. You're trying to reach your workplace, B. Yesterday we had some traffic jam on the road, with the example. Today it's not jam, so you're going very freely. How it is going on, like how it is happening? What is going on there? Who is the agent? Who is the doer in all these things? How would you explain? Like from, let's say, a non-Islamic worldview, how would you explain this? Just let's randomly pick someone, Muhammad Zaryan. He works hard, right? He puts effort, studies things, and then go to work, do whatever he is instructed, and he sometimes excels, right? And from time to time, he do some side hustles, right? Get some money. And then with his money that he earned, rightfully, there is nothing wrong with that. He didn't steal. He didn't put his money into interest or anything. He has his money, rightfully. And then he says, this is my money. I want to buy a car. Let me think about, what kind of car I will buy. Oh, I will also get married soon. He bought the car right before marriage in his hypothetical example. I'm just making up. He says, okay, there are different, the factors at hand. What I want, how people want to see me, how this special one will see me, all these factors coming together. He makes the decision. He buys the car. And then car has this powerful engine. When you start the ignition, right, starts working, machinery, nothing mystery is there. The gas is burning, right? Sorry, 6 cylinders, all of them working in harmony. All these, the explosions, the tiny explosions inside the engine translates into rotation, car goes. This is secular explanation of the events. Do we have any alternative in mind? Or is it really how it goes? When I explained this story this way, was there anything triggered in your mind, in your heart, saying that, no, there's something wrong with you? Anything wrong? No. Sorry? God wasn't in it. Okay.
Let's try to put God in it.
Let's try to put God in it. Yes, exactly. So he goes to work. He says, Bismillah, right? Do his work, earns his money. It's his money. He says, okay, what type of car I should buy? I will not buy it through interest as a Muslim. He says, I need to obey God's rules. And then when he get married, right, he have a religious, let's say, ceremony. And then get the car. When he get first the car, he calls a devoted friend and ask him to read Quran in front of the car.
Or he has a license plate which says praise God. Or
Yeah, praise God. Okay. And then when he starts the engine, he says Bismillah. Islamic enough. Sorry? Yeah, goes to the masjid, donate to masjid. Maybe.
But also driving the car in the path of God always, like to masjid, or he goes to work with his beard and kufi and everything. So mashallah, he is representative of Islam everywhere. Actually, I heard about this. Like Muslims should be strong. So Muslims should get the best car because like we are representing Islam. We shouldn't appear weak. Like then, might be a case. Okay.
Yeah. So what is missing, or is there anything missing?
I think the issue here is we try to put or attach God from outside towards inside. Like it was not there. We try to patch. This is how I feel like it.
What does it mean? If you are not a believer, if you don't say Bismillah, if you don't, read Quran when you buy the car, or if you don't go to masjid or somewhere else, you just go to nightclub, nothing will change. Everything will continue working in the same way, right? This is our understanding. Whether we were believer or not, nothing will change. Replace this hypothetical person whose name starts with M in a hypothetical story, and replace with another guy starting with R, right? Who is not a believer, nothing will change. When you read Quran or you don't read Quran, you just read the science textbooks, nothing will change with respect to how engine works, how you get your money, how you buy your car, how you get married. Nothing changes. And Quran comes and says none of them is true. Whatever happens in this creation, even a leaf, this is how Quran explains, right? There is no single leaf falling down without his control. What does it mean? It's not just like, leaves would fall down by itself because there's the gravitational pull. But if God wants, he can interfere. This is how we usually understand. No, the Quran says, no, it is not this way. The leaf cannot go down by itself. The leaf doesn't have any power, any knowledge, any will to go down. It cannot do anything unless God, figuratively speaking, holds the leaf and pulls it down step by step. This is how it works, the Quran explains. We can study it, it will take some time, but for the sake of time, we cannot, explain how you can confirm this by just studying the creation. Look at anything in the creation, and you will realize that for anything to happen, and what I mean with that, the flower flourishing, or you press a key on your keyboard and a letter appearing on the screen. This requires infinite knowledge, infinite power, limitless will, just to a letter to appear on a screen. If you study, you will realize that. Why? Because everything in the universe is so interconnected, intermingled. If you want to transfer one electron from your keyboard to the screen, just one electron, you have to control everything else in the universe. Whoever taking this electron from your keyboard to the screen must be the one who's controlling the black holes out there, must be the one who's rotating the sun every single moment. There's no other way you will realize if you study the creation. Hence, Quranic worldview tells us, and we can confirm it by studying the creation, that everything in creation happens by his will, his power, his control. So the true story in this hypothetical, the example, was that this guy is sitting in front of the computer, just sitting there, and willing to learn something or do something. That's all you can do. Just will. Just ask for it. When you study for your exam, for instance, you don't go study and learn things. You just sit. You want to learn. You want to open a book. You find the book opened in front of you. You don't even know how you control your arms. Anyone here knows how they control their arms? What muscle they attract, or compress? When I'm holding it, raising it. I have no idea how it's going on, how it's happening. No idea. What is my share in this? I want to keep it up and then down. That's all my share. And then I want it to be opened. I don't even know how this finger works. And I find it working. I open the screen, which is I wanted to open screen, and screen opened. And I want to learn whatever is there. I just stare. Anyone who's studying, the neuroscience, biology, any kind of brain stuff, could you please explain how we learn when we read a book? They will tell you all these, firing neurons, etc., how memory is stored, whatever. No, just explain. I'm open, like looking at the screen or the book. Tell me how this information jumps out of there, travel, goes to my brain, and do whatever needs to be done. How it works, we don't know. But we say, I study. I just want to study. That's all my share. And then the rest is taken care of. So he wants to work. And he wants himself in a work environment. He wants to, to produce something. And he finds himself, his body producing something. He wants to earn salary, and he wants himself, finds himself, the salary is given. So when you study creation with a honest, the heart and open eyes, you will see that the creation is nothing but asks and responses. You ask for something, and then it is given or not given. It's like every action you do is filling an application form. Okay? You say, oh, the one, whoever you are. I'm saying whoever you are because this applies to unbelievers as well. Unbelievers do the same thing. We just put other names. We say we worked hard. We worked hard. I chose my spouse, etc. We make up some names. But in reality, what we do, or the one who controls things, or the one who knows how my body works. I'm filling my application form so that my hand will do this action. You know how it works. I don't. Could you please move my hand in this way? This is what we do. Fill an application form, and it happens. Any questions, objections? Oh, come on, Mirkan, you're just going too extreme. Kind of, the comments.
I guess in this setup, then our hypothetical friend putting the key to the ignition and turning it, and the rest is being taken care of. In our understanding, it is because the engineer set up the mechanism so well that it's being done. So yeah, I know I don't do anything beyond turning the ignition. But same thing applies for how you eat. You put the food into your mouth, and every single cell in your body is being fed. You don't do anything more than putting it to your mouth. And as Brother Birkan said, if you pay attention further, you don't even know how the muscle works. But let's, for the sake of the moment, let's assume that's fine. You are doing the motion. But you don't do anything else, but your whole body is being fed. What feeds your body? So in this regard, to just make it a little easier for people who are new, what is being done in this action is you're putting this food into your mouth and asking for the one who's making you to take care of your body. You're saying that this is my supplication, this is my asking from you to say that I put it in the door, but you take care of it. And you're being responded. So far, everybody in the room seems to be healthy. You have been feeding your body, but you didn't do anything more than putting the food into your mouth. The rest was taken care of. What does this show? You asked and you were responded. But how do we see that? Do we see it as my dua, my asking responded, or do I see it as it's a mechanism? The mechanism takes care of it. And then I will consider it as interference of God if it was a poison and somehow miraculously God interfered and I was saved.
There are such stories, like a big alim, the scholar, is given a poison. He realized the poison. He says, I'm not afraid of it. Recite Fatiha, drinks it, and then nothing happens.
So is this, because in this setup, what we understand is, as Brother Birkan was mentioning, the creator set up the system. I mean, if you're a believer, if not believer, not even that. But for the believer, set up the system and now the system is functioning. But once upon a time, the creator will interfere, which is called as miracles, like the Musa alayhi salam will split the sea. Like in such occasions, creator is creating. But otherwise, like things are functioning and we are the agents that are taking place. So to summarize then, actually, no, every moment is a creation, just like a miracle taking place. Even when I put the mouth, miraculously I am being fed, meaning every single aspect of this feeding process is act of my creator. Why? Because this body is so much in harmony with the rest of the universe, with the rest of the creation. To feed a single cell in my eyes, in my body, the sun is working in the same formula, in the same system. So whomever is doing this must be the one who is making the sun. Since it's not me or my cells who is taking care of the sun, then the all-knowing one is really moving the food into my skin to make me as I am. Just like Musa alayhi salam making a dua, and then the sea is splitting. So in this regard, prophetic miracles are no different in its nature, in its essence, than you feeding when you were having your breakfast. This is why prophetic stories, prophetic miracles are actually very relatable to us. Because if you pay attention to, every moment of your life is the same creation that is taking place directly from the hand of the creator, metaphorically speaking. So if Musa alayhi salam was not the person who split the sea, neither was it his staff which split the sea, so is that when you put a spoon of food into your mouth, you're not feeding your own body, but your creator is feeding every single cell, every single particle in your body, the same way he split the entire sea.
So in this understanding, it sounds first, everything is taken away from you. Like you do nothing, man. I mean, you're just worthless. And you cannot get anything because you don't do anything other than asking. But when you think about the other way around, it actually gives you a lot. You gain a lot. Why? Something is there, you like it or dislike it, and you want something to happen. Right? You are asking from the one who puts a giant fireball out there, we call sun, just for our pleasure, so that we can get warm. Such a power and mercy we're talking about. Like asking from someone, such a, the thing that is in your hands now. Previously, it was you has to achieve things. You have to work hard. You have to get the best car. You have to go there. You have to do this. You have to do that. Now, by realizing, actually, you don't do anything other than asking. And when you know that from whom you are asking from the one with absolute power, absolute will, absolute mercy, right? Absolute wisdom. There is nothing that prevents you to gain something if he wills. This is how Quran explains, right? if he wills something to happen to you, nothing can prevent it. If he wills something will not happen to you, nothing can facilitate it. This is such a power that you rely on. That means there's no limit in your quote unquote achievements, because it's not you doing it anyway. You're just asking. All you need to do is knowing how to ask. Is all you need to do then knowing whether what you are asking aligns whether your will aligns with his will or not. If they align, there's nothing in front of you that can be obstacle. So it gives you like the freedom in the absolute sense. In this life, nothing among the creation can prevent you to reach your goals if he wills. Nothing. But I'm from such a background. My family was poor. I didn't get this education. I didn't learn this. I didn't do this and that. Doesn't matter at all. You ask. If he wills, he will give. You ask. If he wills not to give, he will not get it. That's the only equation in front of you now.
In this regard, then, actually, now we are starting to see the difference between the two successes. Because in the first type of success, you're putting the effort and you think that your effort is going to produce the outcome. This is why you think, I want to be successful, and the success is going to be attributed to you. But in the second setup, what is going on? You are only asking from the one, because now you're the needy one. In the first setup, you are the knowledgeable one, and you are trying to conquer things. Like you are conquering or exploiting the nature. This is the materialist mindset that we are very familiar with. But on the other mindset, what is it? I am the needy one, incapable of even moving. I don't do anything other than asking. This is my reality. And I ask and I am provided. I am given. From outside, they look the same, by the way. Abir is the believer coder. With this mindset, when he is going to be coding, in fact, he will realize that I am asking for my creator to crack this problem. But his friend sitting on the next desk is, let's say, an unbeliever in this hypothetical case, says, oh, I studied in such and such university and I am smart, I will solve it. At the end, maybe both will solve the problem, but what's the difference? Now, Abir is going to be saying what? I asked and I am given. This is Abir's success. Observing that there was someone who heard his supplication and who answered him with his infinite knowledge. Abir will not say that, oh, I am smart. He will say, oh, all knowledgeable one is giving me knowledge. But the friend would say what? Oh, I am the smartest guy. Abir is not going to have any stress in his life because he is not relying on his own knowledge. Abir is saying that as much as I ask and as much as my creator is all knowledgeable, I am content. He gives, I am done. But his friend will do what? As he gets old and he's not as sharp, as smart, he will start getting anxious.
Start forgetting things.
You start forgetting things, and new graduates are coming, new technologies are emerging, and you're not able to catch up with. So as you age, you're going to get even more anxious. How am I going to compete with this new Gen Z, Gen whatever people? So the more you feel you're stronger, the more you will realize that you're getting like shrinking into your. So whereas now we are starting to really to make a difference of success. From outside, maybe both of them are going to crack the problem. An outside observer wouldn't immediately see what is the distinction. But now we are talking about a fundamentally different meaning of success.
So it's great that you mentioned the mental state of a believer in that sense. So competition, what drives our workplaces, right? The professional success we're talking about. no matter where you are studying or working or preparing to, to work, like a job applications. Everything is defined by what? Competition. There's you and there's opponents, your competitors. This is how it is defined out there. Why? Because everybody has a tiny amount of knowledge, again, in the secular understanding. Everybody has the finite amount of knowledge. And when you're talking about the finite amount, it can be more or less. So Ahmed's knowledge can be more than Fahim's knowledge, or vice versa. And they will be in competition all the time, which will give them what? Stress. They have to be constant fight in their mind with themselves, because they have to become better, and at the same time with others. You can imagine what kind of social construct it will generate. Actually, you don't have to imagine, just look at yourself and your surroundings. That's why we mentioned in the first the session that what we see with this, Epstein, whatever, the guy, it's not an accident. It's a natural, the necessary outcome of this worldview, competition. Okay? So you go to attend a meeting, all your friends or like colleagues making a comments, and there's one person making the best comments, getting all the attention, all the points, and how would you feel? And you try to say something, or you can say something silly, or you cannot say anything, just listening them. You're so shy, right? Unlike our brother Arsalan, he's not shy at all. Welcome. I was looking for you, man. Now we can go with some other examples. Good for you. So others making good points, but not you. How would you feel? Jealous, right? You feel jealous. You feel a bit oppressed with the knowledge of others. You even sometimes, they feel so bad that you start thinking, maybe I should change my profession, and maybe I'm not a good fit here, and so on. With the other worldview, though, every time you see a bright comment, you observe the brightness, the wisdom of your creator. Because when you say, I cannot do anything but ask, it applies to others as well. You know that in this room, nobody can make any comment. They just ask for it. And for some reason, which is out of reach of my hands, it's his wisdom anyway, he gives these comments to them, but not me. But it's still his wisdom that I'm observing. With every bright comment, the firmness in believing that he is the most wise one is more established. It becomes firmer. You say, look at this, my creator, creating such a wise thing. My creator, right? You are proud of it. Because when I need it, if I'm truly needing such a thing, he will give me. Today, I don't need it. Because why? He put it in the mouths of others. I'm benefiting from there. This is the source now. Who cares, you say? It's not mine anyway. It's not his or her anyway. My creator sometimes give the food, like, feed me through a soup, sometimes through rice, sometimes through biryani, right? So what is the difference, you say? Today, through him, through her, if I need to articulate this wise comment myself, if this is my need, he will put it in my mouth. no jealousy, but being proud, feeling so even stronger now. Not yourself, not your strength, but you say, the thing that I rely on, now it's stronger. Before I thought he was that much wise, but with this wise comment, I know that he is even wiser. With every, the example of wisdom, your iman in that he is the most wise will increase. But that's the difference between the two. Okay?
And there is a, like, because it boils down to now getting to know your creator. But as I speak about it, like getting to know your creator, why shall I know my creator? What is the benefit? But what is actually meant by getting to know your creator is, I am in need of, in this example, wisdom, and I'm looking for this wisdom to be fulfilled, this need to be fulfilled. I ask, and it is being given. And I enjoy that. Like, it being given to me is what satisfies me. So this is what defines human, actually. I am needy and I am being provided. You can think about it for food. You're hungry and you're being provided food. Or you don't know, but you're in need of knowledge, wisdom. You're being given knowledge and wisdom, and this is satisfied. Actually, for like, I know we have some academics in the room. This is how funding works. Like, you would like to do some research, but what do? You go and ask for a funding agency to give you money. But what's the problem with that attitude? Like, your professors, when you're a PhD student, you feel like we are doing research, right? But once you become a professor, what do? You're just chasing for more money. Like, this is what PIs do, right? They do all their effort to get more money. PhD students do the research, not the professors. It's a very stressful life. Why? Because you are in need of money. You apply to get more money. But why is that stressful life? Because the funding agency is not infinitely rich, and there's a lot of competition. There's no guarantee. But in this case, when I ask for wisdom, for knowledge, for sustenance in life, and the provider, the sustainer, is an infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely rich creator, there's no competition in this case. Like, this is why I will receive, but it's going to be a stress-free life at the same time. This success is not benefiting from my competitor weakness. This is why then there can be a true harmonious creation, as the creation out there is harmonious, but even among human, there's not going to be, I will benefit from the weakness of my opponent. Or, like, opponent could even be another Muslim friend. Like, you can have two shops right next to each other, both Muslim shops. That's not going to be the case then.
So, like, for my question, I'm going to use the example of two Muslim shops right next to each other, right? So, Allah, in his infinite God and his infinite wisdom, one person, like, you see that this first shop next to me, he's getting more risk than me. Like, I open the shop at the same time, he opens the shop at the same time, we're doing the same things, but for some reason he has more customers than me. I'm not getting the same amount of money that he does, right? Could be, yes, you could be seeing the infinite wisdom of your creator and be like, say, subhanallah, like, look at how my creator is doing things in his infinite wisdom. But I feel like it can also lead you down the path about, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not getting, like, because with your limited wisdom, you might try to understand the infinite wisdom. And that's where I feel like I could find myself being stressed again. Like, is he doing something right that I'm not doing? And then you, like, again, you go down the same path of, like, comparing yourself with that person. Like, are they out Musliming me? Like, 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 why the difference? Why the discrepancy? So I feel like like, when I think about this example, I don't see it completely stress-free. Like, even if I'm at a workplace and I think that I'm putting in the effort, I am praying, I'm asking for this, and yet it's still not being granted. Yes, there's infinite wisdom behind it that I might not understand in my limited wisdom, but I don't think that's completely stress-free. Like, I think I can still stress about it, trying to understand why them, like, why are they getting this, you know? And I think you can still compare yourself. I don't see how it becomes completely stress-free.
In this regard, maybe we should ask the question, when I am asking, then in this picture, the answer is being given. Sometimes the answer is being given in affirmative, sometimes being given in the negative, but I do receive answer. So in this new framework, in this new mindset of looking at life, because in the first materialist worldview, purpose of my life was to get what I asked for. Like get more money. That was the point. But in the second one, now that I'm realizing that it was just a means, like this interaction of getting money and whatnot was a means for me to understand something beyond the money itself. Then even if I get the money or do not get the money, if the purpose of this conversation is taking place, my creator teaching me about my neediness, yet is being the ultimate sustainer, provider, sometimes he teaches this to me without giving, sometimes he teaches this to me with giving. But my point in this interaction is it to get the thing itself now, or is this change of framework really starting to turn towards, I am really by this trying to satisfy my hunger? Because this is a cycle that we fall into every day, right? Put food into my mouth. Tomorrow I'm going to get hungry again. But what does this cycle teach me? This cycle is teaching me a sustainer who is always there to sustain me and provide me. If I don't get food tomorrow, is this going to, like sometimes without giving me food, he teaches me that, oh, Yusuf, don't get it wrong. Don't take it for granted that you will always receive food. Meaning food comes by itself. This is why in Ramadan, for example, he will say, I will teach you who the sustainer is by you not eating. So, but I'm going to be then perfectly thankful for the position of sometimes not getting the food, because it reminds me of the fact that, oh, food was not coming from my, it just happens to be there. So if I pay attention to it, what does this interaction tell me? Sometimes giving it will be my answer, sometimes not giving it will be my answer. But in both cases, it's going to be the answer that I'm looking for or that I need.
So, go ahead, please.
So technically, in both situations, whether you're given or not given, if you look at it with this mindset, you're successful in both.
Yeah.
If you get that out of it.
Yes.
And in terms of the mental difference, so it's really true. Like when you have children, they are given to you to teach you. So it's not that, you take care of them, you raise them and so on. They raise you. That's really the case. So when Bushra, my daughter, when she wants something, she can ask from you or him or her, right, from someone. Or she can ask from me. So what is the difference from her perspective, from her mental, the perspective? Because in both cases, whether you follow a secular worldview or a Quranic worldview, you're always asking. In a secular case, you're asking from other people. You're asking from your boss. You're asking from your brain. Oh, my brain, please, they memorize this. You're asking from your legs, or legs, please, they carry me. You're always asking. And in the Quranic perspective, you're just asking from him. You're still asking, right? You can say, what is the difference? Let's look at the children. They can ask from, let's say, Sister Sarah, right? But when they do that, they will feel what? Anxious. Why? She's a nice person, yes, but she doesn't care about them that much,
He's a stranger.
right? She doesn't know. She doesn't know what they like, what they don't like. She doesn't know what is good for them, what is not good for them, right? For them, she's a stranger, maybe a good stranger, but she's a stranger, like a blind, metaphorically speaking, blind person who cannot see what is inside them, inside Bushra. A blind person who cannot see what is good or bad for them, right? So when they ask from her, not because they see something bad about her, but because they know she's blind. The Bushra will feel anxious. When she asks from me, though, who am I? I'm the one who knows her. I'm the one who knows what is good or bad for her. When I tell her, for instance, don't do that, she knows, even when she doesn't accept it, she knows that I tell it out of mercy. She thinks that I'm capable of everything. That's how they, like, have children see their parents until a certain age, of course. I'm capable of everything. So when she asks me, she asks with peace in mind and comfort. That's the same thing between the two worldviews. In one, you ask from blind forces, natural laws of gravitation. Doesn't know anything about you. It just works. Laws of economics, the social, the constructs, the norms, etc. This is what you are asking for. None of them are merciful. None of them knows what is good for you, bad for you. If it happens, you are lucky. If it doesn't happen, you are not lucky. But in the other scenario, as you observe, as you have a firm belief, this part is important though, as you have a belief in that the one I'm asking from is the one who knows everything about me, everything about the rest of the creation as well. He is the one, the most merciful, most wise, who controls everything. So when you ask from him, you don't feel anxious. When you say, maybe something that I am missing, I'm doing wrong. Again, imagine Bushra is doing something wrong in front of her teacher, another power figure, versus in front of me. What is different? I'm the one who always forgives. I'm the one, right, who always smiles back and say, okay, don't worry. You will do it better next time. What about the teacher? Teacher is the good guy or good, the person. But still, sometimes she will say, that was bad. Go to the principal office. That's possibility. So that's the difference. When I say I'm doing something wrong against all these blind forces, I feel anxious because with my single wrong step, all of them will crash me. This is how society works, right? Take a wrong step and everything will crash you. In the Quranic worldview, you are deemed to make mistakes anyway. God says, I created you this way. You will make mistakes. Don't worry. All I'm asking is repentance. Just ask for repentance and you are forgiven. Every sins of you will be forgiven. Except what? You deny him, meaning you deny the one who forgives. Of course, you cannot be forgiven. So when you say, like when Quran says that everything is forgiven except shirk, it's not like in a made up rules. But if you deny that I'm controlling everything, that you are deemed to, to make mistakes, and I'm here to forgive you no matter what. If you deny this setup, what kind of forgiveness you are asking for? At least to me, as you get more like a firmer belief in that, by studying the creation, by seeing instances of his wisdom, his mercy, etc., you say, I'm okay, man. The other shop is working more. I'm probably doing something wrong, but he will forgive me. Alhamdulillah. This is what we see in prophetic stories, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he goes to Taif. What happens? He gets stoned. The political failure. Like, let's face it. We don't, like to say things like that, but it's a political failure. From that perspective, secular perspective, he was not able to manage the situation. He couldn't strategize enough from a secular point of view. But from his point of view, what happens? He says, oh God, if you are pleased with me, or if you are not displeased with me, what I experienced, I'm okay with it. I'm not angry, or I'm not, desperate or anything. I'm okay with it. If you are not displeased with me. This is the mental state of the believer. At least it should be. Yes, bad things will happen. You will find yourself in a failure. You will blame yourself maybe as the Umar radiallahu anh does, right? The earthquake happens. What he does? He goes to the sajda. He says, oh God, I did something wrong. Hence the earthquake is happening. I acted unjust. Otherwise it wouldn't happen, he says. He blames himself. But in front of him, the one who forgives.
Then let's take it to what we were aiming for. The prophetic miracle stories. Now, in this lens so far, prophetic miracle is yet another asking of the prophet from the Creator to create something. So let's take how Isa alayhi salam is resurrecting the dead. What is that? What is happening in here? Somebody brings in a dead person, or he goes to a grave and there's this dead person, and he asks from the Creator to give life to this dead body. And life is given to that person, right?
For a moment.
For a moment. And this is a clear miracle. It's beyond human capacity. But even today, if you heard that, this is among the miracles of Isa alayhi salam, right? He would heal the leper, like people with disease. Today, if you have such a disease and you hear that there is such a doctor at Penn Medicine, wouldn't you buy a ticket from Pakistan, come to Philadelphia, go to the hospital? You will take, right? And people took their disease patients to Isa alayhi salam as well. But if you take your patient to Penn Medicine, what would happen? They will cure your patient to get your money. Like, they have an incentive to heal your patient. But let's see what was the motivation for Isa alayhi salam to heal the diseased, or when resurrecting the dead. What was his point? When a prophet shows a miracle, what is the point? The point is to demonstrate that it's not my act. I'm not a magician. I'm not doing this act. I am asking from the Creator of you and me to create this. And as it comes out, what is the outcome? What does he say with this act? You see, there's an all-knowing, all-hearing Creator which created this right in front of us. What did increase at the end of this interaction? Isa alayhi salam became more firm and convinced and secure in his conclusion that yes, there's an all-hearing Creator who is the one that creates, that gives life, that heals the diseases. He is the Shafi. So I am in need of a healer. I am in need of giver of life. And I know that giver of life is him. This is what he himself is confirmed. But also when he's communicating with other people, what did he show them? He showed them this interaction was, the whole point of this interaction was what? To show them that the all-knowing healer is the one who gives healing. Was it a success? Yeah, like if you go to a surgery and the surgeon comes out of the surgery and says he will live, it's a success, isn't it? Like the surgery ended and your patient is alive. Isa alayhi salam, they took their patient and he asked, and the patient was healed. He comes out and says he will live. Like imagine, I'm just trying to make it. It's a success in the worldly sense of our understanding. But this success is different than the success of our regular doctor today, because he is not attributing it to himself. What is the real success here? The outcome is the same, patient is healed. But what's the real success that's happening in here? First, Isa alayhi salam is aware that he is asking from the creator. He is not asking from his skill set. Brother Haidar was in his rotation in Temple Hospital at some point. So he came to discussion that night on Friday, and he said, today there was a patient, he was in the emergency room, and whomever shot the guy really wanted to kill. So like they just emptied an entire magazine on the patient, he says. So, but when the patient came in, they applied this defibrillator and whatnot. So he says, then the patient came back. And the doctor said, he says, I gave him life. And they said 5 minutes later, patient died. So Isa alayhi salam doesn't do that. Because what doctor did was asking from him actually. Even when you're using these tools,
You don't even know like what's going on there, right? As a doctor, I mean, I can promise you, they don't know what's happening when they apply this. Somebody just told them in a textbook that when there's someone like this, just take this tool, apply this energy, and wait. All they know is that.
Because many things are happening in there, right? Like to what extent you can know, even if you know the physics of it, how does it work? Like knowledge is not just part of the story. Yes, we don't even know, but even the knowledge is part of the story. It is happening. It's like right now the energy is penetrating and whatnot. Many things are happening, which is all beyond you. Somebody else is taking care of that. So what this doctor does is simply asking, like asking not verbally maybe, but by way of an act. He's asking. But what did doctor say? He thought, oh, he did it himself. He attributed success to himself and said, I gave life to him. Isa alayhi salam wouldn't do that. What does Isa alayhi salam do? Patient came, says, oh, my creator. Like in this example, it's a verbal asking. But what I'm trying to say is, we can become doctors in our professional life. We should become doctors now, because we are going to take a lesson from Isa alayhi salam, right? He asked from the creator. Now, when you go into surgery room today, as a doctor, if this is your profession, you putting this tool to the patient is nothing more than asking. Do it in the way that Isa alayhi salam did it, to first and foremost be convinced himself that, oh, my creator, here's a need. This patient needs life, and you are the giver of life, and we are asking from you. How do I do that? If it is by cutting, by cutting. If it's by stitching, it's by stitching. But I know nothing more than that. This is just asking from you. And when the outcome is given, who is successful? I will say, Alhamdulillah, all praise be to him, because I'm saying that my conviction at this point is what? I was heard by the one who is observing the needs and provided. My conviction increased. Number two, as Isa alayhi salam didn't show it as a magic to impress people, but to invite people to this message, I would say the same. If the doctor comes out of the surgery room and then the patient, the relative of the patient says, oh, doctor, thank you. You saved the life of my son. No, I didn't save the life of your son. Actually, the giver of life gave life to your son. Sustainer of life, Al-Hayy, Muhyi, is the one who gives life. I do nothing. I only ask and he gave. So in this regard, because we were talking about Muslims making dawah by being successful in their businesses, but in this case, we were splitting the two, right? The guy is Muslim, like a good boxer, but yet at the same time pray or practicing Islam. Not only that, in the act itself, like even if it's box, or let's make it something that's more applicable to us, in your profession, do you see the giver of life if you're a doctor? Or if you're a computer engineer, software engineer, whatever you are doing, in there, do you observe your creator's action in there? Like I'm going to give a very short example from my own profession. Nowadays, we are doing a research with simulating clothing. We are trying to make those knitted clothes, and different patterns that we enter is curling in very different ways. Just the way you do the pattern, whether it's a knit or fur or whatever, the shape, the folding is changing a lot. My mom has been a knitter by herself. She didn't study college. Whatever she does in her hands could come up in various different ways. Our research is about, can we know how it will come out without producing it? At the moment, we don't. Like the level of knowledge that we know as a civilization at this moment is, we don't know how it will curl, how the fabric will curl. We need to come up with a simulator, and still working on it for 2 years, and we are not able to, so that it's going to be moving and then curling in a proper place. Like the fabric is going to fold in a certain way. For this, I need to calculate every single curvature on there so that it comes into place. This fabric itself, who does that? Like, who is making all this computation when it comes to this cloth? You just throw the cloth and it curls by itself. The amount of knowledge that I am trying to put in there just to mimic it is millions of dollars of your money, taxpayers' money. A lot of effort goes there, but this is happening by itself over there. Come on. So me, by putting my effort in the lab, in my research, whatever it is, or in my job, if I can see it as I do nothing but asking and I am being given, and my profession then simply becomes a way to teach me that he is the provider of that. He is the sustainer of that. And I will be asking just to satisfy my eagerness to learn, but now what am I learning? I'm not simply learning a physics formula as to how it curls, but I am learning something that I consider to be taking very lightly, and it happens by itself. All my research is now teaching me that don't just say that it is a simple fabric is being knitted and it just curls. It is being curled every moment by someone with the same formula, with the same way. Otherwise, you will have to assume that the fabric that's curling over there is extremely knowledgeable and consistently curls the same way without any exception.
So going back to then Isa alayhi salam, then we asked the question, what is the successful doctor, a Muslim doctor? In the first session, we said a doctor who, earns a lot of money, drives a good car, have a nice house, and at the same time practicing Islam and making dawah is a successful Muslim doctor. That was the definition in the first session. Here, then, the definition of the successful doctor is the one who wants to understand how health is given to the living beings.
Yeah. So in this regard, you are not stopping to study in the lab, but your perspective is changing, your motivation is changing. Still, you are doing your coding if you are a software engineer, but your endeavor is not focused on just reaping the fruits, success to be, oh, I am a good programmer anymore. But the point is that I am trying to find who satiates, satisfies my desire to learn or to desire to program things in a certain way. Or if you are doing some biological experiments in the lab, you're trying to understand a protein. This is your 7-8 years of youth going into just understanding a protein. The definition of success in this case is not, oh, we understood how to manipulate the protein and published it in Nature. Thumbs up, I am ready for my next phase of my life in an Ivy League university as a professor. It's not the description of success anymore. Yes, on this journey, you will end up getting in a professor in a good Ivy League university, but you wouldn't consider this outside fact as your success, because Isa alayhi salam's success was not resurrecting the dead per se. It was coming with the message of giver of life is not me, giver of life is the one who creates or resurrects that person. So this whole thing was the success.
The more you see how life is given in life or in creation, the more you understand it and more you reflect it to explain it to others, then you get more and more successful. And the one thing maybe we should highlight that the alternative way of understanding, the success in medicine, there is only, the certain things that you can achieve. I mean, you cannot just cure cancer, right? You have to at least wait 50 more years so that maybe technology will be advanced enough and etc. And maybe even then it will not happen, because it's all limited resources, limited knowledge of people. But with the second scenario, there's a call out there. The Creator is telling us, just learn how I give life. Just learn how I cure the disease. Ask for me. If you ask it in the proper way, I will give it. Now, there is no limit. Like if you are a doctor, with this understanding, for you, there is no limit. Any disease can be cured. It's not just a wishful thinking anymore. You know that. Because why? Because the one who will cure is the one with the infinite power and infinite knowledge, wisdom.
And he even cured the death.
Even cured the death, yes.
This is what Isa alayhi salam is showing us.
And this is what we observe in the creation, right? There's no limit. So it's like, with this mindset, a successful doctor will have this conviction that any disease can be cured. All we need, knowing how to ask. So just compare the two. The second one, no limit. And you have this enthusiasm. And the first one, go talk any oncologist, anyone. What they tell you, how desperate their life. Why? Because they have to deal with all these people with the cancer, for which there is no cure. And all they can do is just treating them so that they, manage their symptoms and etc. until they die with pain. That's how they see the life. For a successful Muslim oncologist, you will still go through the same suffering, maybe, not suffering, sorry, sadness, but you will be assured that there's a cure. There can be cure for that. We just don't know how to ask. We will work harder and we will look for it because there's no limit. Now you have the enthusiasm, not just the desperation. Sadness is still there, but it's not suffering anymore. Because suffering comes from being incapable, when you see that there is no end, when there is no, the escape from it. That's the source of suffering. In both cases, you go through a sad experience. In one, you suffer. The other one, you get even more enthusiastic. Just like the Prophet. If you are not displeased with me, I'm okay with this. If you are displeased, I will do everything I can to correct it. So a successful doctor will work even harder now. I need to know how my Creator cures. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam. He had to know how his Creator resurrects. How he understood it? By studying the creation, the birds, right? In the example of the Quran. He studied the birds. He was enthusiastic about that. So a successful Muslim doctor will try to find cure for everything, not because they will discover the cure, just to know how their Creator cures. There's a one comment behind, and then you, inshallah, if somebody can.
Yeah, I think I have two more comments / questions, I guess. So I feel like in the first session, when you asked about like how, or mentioned like successful people or how you define success as a Muslims, and we talked about like, athletes or I don't know, software CEOs or so like that basically what they do is that they do their work, but they are also Muslims and they are not ashamed to be Muslims and they present themselves as one. And we kind of looked at that as like, so if someone is doing something good and he's at the same time willing to admit and represent the community as a whole, as a collective, then they are like, this is success. So like we also talked about like the golden age. So we always looked at it from a more collective, from a more like a whole community, a whole group of people that became, well, it wasn't the group of people successful, but it was represented as a successful community. But I feel like when we're talking about it now, it's very individualistic. So it's only about me, like how I see things, how my mindset will change, like how I will get to know my Creator. Like, I feel like it has nothing to do with Islam or Muslim as a community, as a group, like even people might not see that, in my work, I'm being, I'm trying to know my Creator. I'm trying to reach a level of sincerity, to get to know people will not know that, but at least in this definition for myself, I'll be successful. So I don't know. I don't know if that's important, but I think for me, it kind of like there's this difference, when we look at a community or as Muslim, as the collective, for us to be, a successful group of people or an individual Muslim by himself, it might not reflect, the community. Another thing, it's just the latest example when you said that a doctor, like a successful doctor is the one, like someone who would do this just not to cure, but just to know how his Creator cures, right? Like to get to know his Creator through that. But it could also be like, and we have this case where you have a lot of scientists or doctors who are not doing it for the money. I mean, there's not much money in that, but they are really doing it because they are curious of like how things work. I mean, I don't know if like, so my point is, I guess, why is it important? How does it benefit, other than that it changes my mindset, it gives me this security when, things fail, when like, other than that, I don't see why, doing something out of like pure curiosity, pure what's it called, like loyalty, to the field, to the knowledge, like you just want to bring knowledge and doing it to know your Creator. Why is one better than the other than, as I said, like better for my mental state, let's say.
Do you want to? I'm gonna have some talk. I think let's start with you.
Okay, I'll be briefly, let me go with, what was the first one? Community. So, like when we talk about community, I feel like, especially nowadays, this, identity politics is also taking us a little bit. Ibrahim alayhi salam was a community by himself, as Quran presents him to us, Millat Ibrahim. So he was a community, although he was a single person, because he was so convinced and ready to jump into fire and walk out of fire, which itself was speaking a ton. People observing, if now we are really talking about delivering message to outside, having one Ibrahim, just being Ibrahim, is speaking more than him going out and saying, oh, we Muslims. Because nowadays, especially in this identity politics world that's taking place, this propaganda language seems to be weighing more than what it should. So really, if someone who normally otherwise would be applauded 7 minutes when everybody was standing up, would stop them and say that it's not me, it's my creator, in a proper way. I'm not just talking about words. This would speak saying that really such a human being exists, and this is coming from that worldview. This is his Islam is putting that to him. Then if they encounter you tomorrow, and you are also saying that I am Muslim, they would say, oh, these people are like, because his, the quality that he demonstrates is now being added in the, under the banner of Islam, if you are now going to talk about the collectiveness. So that good example is going to benefit you, but also for the recipient, they would say, oh, Islam must be such a thing that, like, is this guy crazy? We thought he made it, but he didn't attribute it to himself. So I think that would be way more like, it doesn't stay within you, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because it's like, it's going to shine out of you, it's going to show itself, because the other way around is showing in this society. Everybody wants to be applauded. But this guy doesn't. Isa alayhi salam didn't want to be applauded. Explicitly, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was asking people not to stand up when he enters the room. Like, this is really shining a certain worldview in the way you live, the way you behave. So if the doctor does this, or if the scientist does this in their lives, people, for the benefit, personal benefit, we already talked about that. But as it's going to shine out of you as well, you're not trying to show off, you're not trying to get any appreciation. People would say, what is this up to? This is a totally different thing. We have never heard about anything like this. Where's this coming from? Oh, this is coming from that person's iman, that person's Islam. Then the benefit, community benefit that you were mentioning is already there in this case as well. Because you are not saying that, oh, this is my goodness, this is why I do not accept. You're not saying that. You're saying this is coming from my Islam. Then anybody who then comes out as saying, I am also Muslim, by their way of living, just appearance, acting, people would get the same message from them as well. So I don't think there is any loss of community aspect of that. I mean, yeah, we didn't explicitly mention it, you're right, but it's already there.
But like, if we go with the Prophet Isa alayhi salam's example, resurrection happens, and then he uses this example to teach people what is going on, how Creator gives life. So in that sense, the successful doctor is not only the one who tries to understand how his Creator cures, but also teaches it to others as well. How the patient comes, he listens or she listens, share the wisdom of his Creator, and explains them that this is the wisdom of the Creator. And they both together observe how Creator cures. Now the patient also has the more confidence. If it is good for me, there is no obstacle. There's no such thing as this disease is not curable. What are you talking about? If he wants, he changes everything in the creation and then will give you cure. This the patient will have. Why? Because doctor is so successful, affecting the patient's belief as well, understanding as well. So there is such a community, the aspect of it. The success is not just learning about the cure in the creation from your creator, also teaching it. That's why you choose this profession. Being an Khalifa, being going in the footsteps of the prophet, because the prophethood is a profession. Prophethood is a profession. What is it? Studying the creation in the best way, asking the best questions, and then teaching it to the companions. This is the best doctor. Best doctors understand how Creator cures and teaches others how he cures. He teaches them how to ask for cure. Neither for doctor nor for a patient is any limit. The second question was I believe it slipped in my mind. What was the second question again?
Why is it better if you do medicine?
Oh yeah, the curiosity. So the moment you mentioned the curiosity, all these curious thinker came to my mind, like really famous ones. They're really, like, I sincerely believe, I agree with you. Most of them were really curious about how things work. What is the answer? Life is meaningless. We have to accept that. Like, I was listening to one of them, doesn't matter the names, Carl Sagan. We have to be courageous. We have to be, strong enough, it says, to accept that we are alone in this universe. Nothing makes sense. We're just trying to, making sense of it, invent some meaning. But other than that, it's pure darkness. You are just speck of dust. The speck of dust, this tiny blue earth metaphor coming from him. So curiosity, as like a feeling, or as a, let's say, the faculty tool that we use is so valuable. But the curious about what? If you start with the pre-assumption that everything has to, within the creation I observe, and beyond that, I will not accept anything. If you start with this naturalistic assumption, dogma, your curiosity has to lead you purposefulness, meaningless. This is what we live right now. So what we have currently in our society, all these terrible things, that's the reason I keep saying that it's not a glitch in the system, it's a necessary outcome. What we live with, the Epstein, what we live with, like see with Gaza, or the mosque, or this or that, Trump. These are not accidental. What we are living with is, the identity politics and so on. These are not just glitches. These are products of 100 years of philosophies. All of them has its philosophical roots, the backgrounds. There are forefathers building this system. They had what? None of them are evil. They were so curious. I mean, I with pleasure read them. But you see this dogma. I will start with the naturalistic assumption, and I will end with the naturalistic assumption. Then your curiosity will lead you nothing but darkness. That's the difference. a curious doctor who's successful in the light of the Quranic wisdom will start with this assumption, not assumption, but he's trying to understand if this is the case. There is a cure out there. Why? Everywhere I look, I see cure. Everything is, killed and then resurrected. This is what I see. I cannot explain it within this system itself, but there must be something, and I will find it. You start with an existence positive thing. Hence, there is a limit. There is no limit. With the other one, you always already put the limit in front of you. The humanity, we have that much, the information, knowledge. Put a 3 billion humanity, still not enough. We have to accept that a tiny virus will destroy us. We have to accept. That must be the conclusion of these curious people. And this is what it is. Let's be honest. Do we know any curious thinker right now who telling us anything other than either there will be another virus that will erase humanity, or aliens will invade us, or there will be the enormous the natural phenomena like the earthquake or whatever, the climate change will destroy us. Any one single example, please. Any curious mind producing anything other than this? There's no way. Because within a limited system, a closed system, Earth is a closed system, right? A single organism. If you are living in a closed system, and if you have limited resources, and one of the species in this system, it's hunger, no limit, the humanity. What is the inevitable consequences? You kill yourself. You destroy yourself. There's no other way to go.
So then Sister Sarah made an anecdotal addition to that question, saying that other than the mental states, why is one better than the other? I think that makes a huge difference, because why am I searching? What is my goal in this life? What is my driving force in the first place? If it is a fleeting joy, let it be fleeting joy of human flesh, carnal desires. Let it be fleeting joy of my intellectual experience. Because curiosity can also be wasted, just like your bodily desires, which can be wasted with instantaneous joys. Or you are an intellectual and you're just solving some problems makes you happy, and you just solve it and waste it in this regard. But it's going nowhere. Just like, you need to solve another problem to get excited again. Is this human? That is the question. Is human satisfied with this temporariness? This is the problem. This is the question. This is why it's a huge difference that a proper mu'min doctor would be very different than a non-believer doctor. Both of them trying to solve a problem, but the nature of that curiosity, the outcome of the curiosity is very different. One of them is just trying to get the, this tickling feeling of achieving knowledge. And once you achieve it, you want another one so that it continues, just like the joy of momentary fun that you have in your life. But the other one is, by exploring these, are reaching to the conclusion of an eternal knowledge. This is why the mental state is changing. The contentment is different between the two. So I don't think it's comparable in this regard. Why is one better than the other? We need to ask that question to ourselves. You shouldn't be buying my conviction, my answer on that, but am I okay with this temporariness, or am I looking for an ultimate eternal satisfaction? This is where the difference lies.
we don't have much time. We probably cannot go over other examples, but we promised we would give some software engineering examples. So let's conclude with that, inshallah. So then, like, what would be the successful software engineer in this sense? Let's go with the example of, the AI, artificial intelligence. So the way we do the artificial intelligence now is, at least in the current state, is like a glorified tape recorder. This is one famous physicist, described it. I love it. You feed all this data, and then they record it, and then just repeat it back in a fancy way. So, we feel that, oh, it's reasoning and so on. When you have this Quranic wisdom, the guidance, you would say, okay, I want to understand what the intelligence is and how it is given by the one who controls everything. Again, no limit. And you want to understand how the intelligence is given, right? Now, this is your goal. It's not the other way. What was it? I have to invent a definition for intelligence. This is what we do. Currently we go with these computational theories of the intelligence, right? We have to invent some theories and then implement them and then see what happens and so on. But it's just trying to find our way in the darkness. But you would say, the intelligence is given. I see all these examples in the creation, and I want to understand. And to me, to better understand it, I have to, because this is how I am created, I have to see it in terms of codes, right? How these different pieces come together. This is how I understand, you would say. For some other people, they may understand it differently, maybe in an artistic form. Some other people will be created with aesthetics, tastes, skills. They will understand the intelligence by painting. But for you, you have to, play with these pieces. What is the software engineering? It's like taking some pieces, put them together to define some experiences, human experiences. Right? This is how the software engineering works. Take some human experience, right? Divide it into pieces and see how they come together, play with their orders, change the experience. Right? You say, I need to understand it this way, and start asking, teach me. How you create intelligence, right? So for you, there's no limit now. You know that. All you need to do, try to understand the best way to ask. As you study, for instance, while others just trying to improve their tape recorders, right? For you, for instance, it is possible to take this chair and make it speak, because it may have intelligence. You know that your creator gave intelligence in different forms. If it will teach you better of is given the intelligence, even it is even possible. I know it sounds crazy, right? But it is possible. You know that this chair will speak and start moving with you so that you will have the best comfort. Like this guy will stand up, go there to the seat, and the chair will follow him. You can do that. Not you can do that, you understood, right? But you can observe his given intelligence this way and explain others as well. Show it. Look, our creator, the giver of the intelligence, he doesn't have any limit. Now he is giving this, showing his creation this way. Let me teach you. That could be your goal. So you can study the intelligence in the true sense You will say there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. Intelligence is everywhere anyway, you would say. Let me show you the intelligence of these plants. Plants will start watering themselves. I'm just making up examples. It is a possibility. You will aim for that. But this is the success that it brings. Right? So when you code, when you start, turning on your computer, this will be your intention. This is your goal. I'm turning on this computer to reach out the infinite knowledge He will give me. So imagine your state. And then when you do that, it will come with, the worldly, whatever success as they define. What would be your state? Again, a stance. You say, nothing is by me anyway. If you want to learn, let me teach you. I can. But this is the successful software engineer now, in this artificial intelligence example. What is the successful political scientist? What is the secular one? There is no justice in world. We have to, to create our own justice system, which will be very limited, and it will be justice for some, while less justice for others. The other day I was listening to someone, he was saying, all these, the women's rights, children's rights, all these rights that our society has. When they say woman, they're not talking about you. Don't get excited. You don't have any right. When they say children, oh, my children, don't get excited. You don't have any right. It's not for you. It's for their children. This is how our society, right? But for a successful political scientist, in an Islamic sense, just like we gave the example of Prophet Sulaiman, alayhi salam. What was his attitude? He said the creation is full of justice. The one who creates is aware of everything, can see everything. And so that I can teach you this, he gave me this miracle that I can show you what is the word? Throne. Throne is this other person, other end of the world, wherever it was. I can show it here right now. How? Because the creator who knows, he sees everything and just showing it here. We usually take it as teleportation, right? This is the miracle. But you can also see it as the seeing everything, showing everything in its true sense. The complete justice, being aware of what is happening everywhere, right? And showing it in its true form. What is right, what is wrong. The transparency of Sulaiman's, palace. This is how it is narrated in Quran, right? You can see through it. What does it mean? Justice, transparency, right? A political scientist, the successful in the true sense. Difference, what is the difference? The justice is there in the creation. I will just learn about it and show people how everything comes with justice, with measure. This is what justice means. I will show it. So if you want to become a successful political scientist, then you will not say that there's no justice out there. I will, try to invent it. No. I will show how in every creation there is justice and how some terrible people trying to block it. I will show it. Now there is no limit for you. Now you can talk about true justice in world in its complete sense. You can aim for that because it is possible, because justice is already there. You don't have to invent it. You don't have to build some institutions to, make up justice. It is already there. That would be your aim, to show it to people. And then let people, they get rid of these terrible people. There's one comment and we can complete maybe with that. Oh, okay. If you don't mind, let's conclude here. We apologize for the time. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.